Today on Ask the Producer 21, we are joined by Reginald Ramey, a powerhouse consultant with over 40 years' experience in sales, marketing, branding, and business development. From entertainment and digital media to AI, blockchain, and startup strategies, Reginald has helped entrepreneurs build, scale, and compete in today's fast business world. His philosophy says it all: don't catch up, start up. Hi, I'm your host, Tajon Tom. Today, we are welcoming Reginald Ramey, my mentor and friend for over 20 years. He is a beast in the media and AI industry. Let's talk. You are a veteran in the media industry, and we really want to peel back um, some very important things about your experience in the industry and what you suggest to the young people out here that are trying to navigate what's happening in the media industry today. So we have a few questions for you.
Sure.
And first, I want to get into how did you start in this industry?
Well, first, started in the industry actually back in Chicago some years ago, a lot of years ago, actually, where I was just interested in doing something on my own. I was always working in corporate America. And I worked for law firms, and then I worked for organizations like Xerox Corporation, where I did national sales throughout the country. But the problem with that was no matter how much money you make, and I did very well for a black man back in that time. Um, Problem with that though is you're still under constraint. You can't really be creative and do what you want to do. So the bottom line is how much money you can make for them, and then you get this little bitty small amount for you. And then at the end of the day, you retire and you get a watch, something crazy like that. But for the most part, it was a great learning experience. But if you want to be independent and on your own, that's just not the way to do it. Then that basically led me to the music industry because my brother had always been in it and he kind of walked me into the industry. And once I got into it and understood what was going on, I looked at the need, the need in the business, and the need in the business what people didn't know how to promote their product. Not only their product, they didn't know how to promote themselves. That's a problem because no matter how much talent you have, no matter how much talent you have, you still have to have a team around you that's going to make sure that not only that you do the right thing, but that you do the thing that's most beneficial for you, right? I think in you were around, you saw all of this stuff. So when I looked at that, I said, okay, well, you're up against all of these record companies out here, right? So you can't compete with that. So what you have to do is compete on a smaller level, but more productive level, in that you can do it on your own. That's the major problem. I've seen so many people, Ty, just go broke. They go invest in a lot of money. I'm one of them. Invested a lot of money in something, and even though you believe in the product and the project, you again you can't do it by yourself. And even if you have one or two people around, yes men and things like that, it's not going to work because you have to have people around you that's going to slap you around and say that is not the way to do it, or take a look at this side of it as opposed to just thinking that you know it all. That's the
Okay.
biggest problem in any industry that I've seen. You know it all, and I guarantee you, in your walk of life, I know you see it all the time, and
Of course.
that holds projects up, that holds situations up, and the main thing is it holds you up. You hurt yourself more than you hurt anybody else because you're not listening. Because I can tell you, Ty, I've had conversations with people, and I can sit there and talk, and I know they don't know what they're talking about, but I'll sit and listen because everybody has a right to present their case, right? And say, this is
Of
what I want
course.
to do, this is how I want to do it. That's fine. Problem with that is that do you really know or do you just think you know?
Of
And
course.
when you think you know, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be wrong because the industry is so big and so vast and it's changing so much, you can't possibly know. Look at some of the things that I know we'll get into this later in the conversation about AI. it's totally changed the game. And
Okay.
that's a blessing and a curse at the same time. But I know we'll get into that though.
Of course, of course. So that brings me to the next question. Like, once you were very well versed in the music industry and you understood how that was working, like, what was the first startup, like, from scratch that you worked on and built to scale, and then saw the growth of that? What was the first startup you did, and did you actually succeed at that first startup?
Yeah, actually, that was in Atlanta. That was Magic Lab Productions out there in Decatur. And you know it well, I'm sure.
I do.
It so yeah, it was a startup there. We basically people told us, Ty, that we weren't going to make it because we were in Decatur, and that's kind of in the hood, and I was away from like LaFace Records and So Def Records. You know, they were in the more prime areas. But what I said was, I said, it doesn't matter where we are, they're going to come where we are if we present the right product. So when we did that, it took a while to go. It took about 3, 4, 5 months for people to know who we were. Then we started getting calls from the Face Records and other record companies saying, we need you guys to do these projects for our tour. And when that happened, we just, it grew to a point where we were getting big checks every week, and it was going really well. And next thing you know, we have tour buses pulling up to our facilities and things like that, and everybody trying to get in there. And they was like, well, wow, why would they want to go to Decatur? Well, they go to Decatur because that's where the best work is. We had one of the best producers in the country that nobody really knew about. They knew of him as a music director, but they didn't know of him as a producer and people that could actually put your tour together from the beginning to the end and make sure that when you hit that stage that you sound the best. When we worked with Usher, the first TV spot that Usher had when he broke the song "You Make Me Wanna," we put that out there, and we went on the show, and his album blew up because of that presentation. So when that blew up, that blew us up. So then we started working with many artists, you name it, Tony Braxton, TLC, uh, 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 John L. Jones, you name it. We work. If they came out of Atlanta, like I know, we work with it. And that was the main learning part right there. Is they'll come wherever you are if you're presenting the right package. That's it. So, but it has to come from you. I mean, you have to have the personality to deal with people because in the entertainment field, egos run rampant,
Of course,
and that's a
of course.
problem. Egos run rampant, and but once you show them that no, they're like everybody else, and you know me, Ty. I mean, it's like you're like everybody else, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't really care who you are. We're gonna do this the right way, and we're gonna make sure that you present it the right way on stage or
Of
wherever
course.
you are. And that was a success part. So monetarily, we did fine, but I think at the end of the day, you got to be sustainable because if you're not
Hmm.
sustainable, I don't care what you are. You can have everyone goes to this height, and then they drop off. We talked about that
Okay.
before, and the main thing about that, Ty, is that when you drop off, nobody wants to hear from you again. It's hard to make a comeback. Hard to make a
Okay.
comeback. I don't care who your team is. If you don't sustain your notoriety, you're gonna have a problem. So team is everything.
Um, Speaking of sustainability, what advice would you give to people that are just now coming into this new wave of AI technology? What kind of things can they do to continue to be credible in whatever media they put out in the AI realm?
One is you have to understand that it's like anything else. It's a trend. So everybody's it thinks they know AI now, and everybody's into it. So whether it's Claude or Claude Work or Open Claw, things like that, Open AI. Those things they are absolutely great tools. I mean, they can take you a lot further than a team could if you use it
Mhm.
properly. So
Right.
like I know, it's all about prompting. It's all about making sure that whatever you're doing, you're being very specific about what you wanted to do. That's one good thing. However, if you're just sliding through it, thinking that that thing is going to do all of the work, then you're mistaken. You still have to put the time in. You have to learn how to do these things, and I think that's the problem that a lot of people are having right now. Look at the music site Suno. If you look at
Yeah, I
Suno,
love it.
everybody is going on there and they're making a song and they're like, "That's my song." No, it's not your song. Suno
It's
owns
not.
that song because Suno tags everything that you do. So when you do try to release that song, Suno's gonna say, "No, you don't own that song. I own that song." But you know what I attribute that to, Ty? You didn't do your homework.
Correct.
You didn't do your homework. So if you didn't do your homework, then you don't own. If you don't own the masters to that, uh, you don't own it, and Suno owns
Correct.
it. So they figured out the music industry has figured out how to come around and still control what you do. However, there's ways to do everything, and that's the problem. So, for instance, if you do the work yourself, you have it remastered, re-engineered, let real musicians play it, now you have a different stake in the claim.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but I think for the most part that people don't really understand that they have to do the homework. I mean, I'm an older guy now, and I spend hours upon hours every night learning this stuff. I mean, I'm on YouTube University. We both are.
Correct. Correct.
So
Correct.
you get on there and you understand, and uh, I think the basic part of that is making sure that you don't just listen to one person. You got to dive in. You got to go down the rabbit's hole and really figure out what's going on and how is this going to last. You ask me, AI is not going anywhere. I mean, that's just where we are right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
And guess what? It's making a lot of people a lot of money if money is your motivation. If the creative part is your motivation, it's outstanding because you can do so much with so little. Now, some people don't want to buy the program where it's $20 a month. Nobody wants to pay money, but it is worth the upgrade from free to 20 and then maybe to 100 if you're scaling like that. So it really depends on what you're doing. But I think, Ty, the biggest mistake that people make is that it's going to do all the work for you. No,
No, it's not.
it makes your life a lot easier, but it
Correct.
doesn't do the work for you. And you still have to use your creativity. And at the end of the day, whatever you're putting out there, it still needs to be good. I don't care what's going on. At the end of the day, you got to have a good product.
Okay. Well, speaking of um, having something authentic and something good, what is something that your mentor or your mentors told you early on in the business that helped you come to that realization that building something that's yours is much more credible than, okay, I'm gonna use somebody else's stuff and then pass it off as mine.
Well, when I started in sales, that was the first thing they told me. They said you have to you you have to find a way to make everything yours. Not only that, you have to figure out how, if you were to leave this job today or tomorrow, how do you survive?
Hmm.
At that time, I didn't have the answer to that because I was used to making a lot of money doing something that I actually like doing. Problem with that was when they decided they don't want me there anymore, what do I do? I mean, because some skills are transferable and some are not. Sales is transferable
Sure.
probably into every area because at the end of the day, you're trying to create business, right? So your
Hmm.
sales force is always going to be the blood, the pumping blood of your business because that's where that money's going to come from. So the main advice I got, and they kept hitting it into my head. They kept saying, "Get your own." They say you have to get your own, but you have to get your own in a way that that you walk silently and carry a big stick. You know what I'm saying? So people will know who you are, not by what you say, because talk is talk. They they go by what they see you do, and they see how people interact with you. And that to me was the biggest thing. They told me always represent yourself in a way that people are going to want to be around you. I don't consider myself a leader. I don't even want to be a leader. I want to be productive in what I do. And if I can show people how to take what they're doing to another level, then that's fine. which is what my company is all about. So
Okay.
those things are very important to me. So the at the end of the day, Ty, it's all about, do you have ownership in what you do? In college, and I went to college. In college, they never showed you one day how to start a business. Never.
Hmm.
All they showed you how to do is how to deal with the commerce inside of business, or how to be an accountant, how to be a lawyer, how to be this or that. But they never
How to
showed
be an
you
employee.
how yeah, it's always how to be an employee. So we all are expert employees because we don't know how to be anything other than that. And so, and
Hmm.
the people that's out here like freelancers and things like that, those people, I give a lot of props to because they do it from beginning to end to try to make sure that they know how they're going to make their money at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that it's all about money. I'm saying that it's all about passion. If you don't have the
Well, speaking
passion
of
to do
that,
what you want to do, you're going to,
speaking of passion and speaking of
hmm
being a freelancer, how
sure.
do you as a freelancer figure out the way to scale what you're doing and multiply you as a creator, and at the same time build a business around what you've done, so therefore you could step away and work above the business and not work in the business.
That's the problem. And see, this is the main problem, and which is what I deal with on a daily basis. Uh, and by trade, I'm a consultant, and I consult people on how where they are right now. Because you gotta catch them where they are, and then find out where it is they're trying to go at the end of the day. So when a freelance, let's just use a freelance, let's just say an artist, okay, just a
Hmm.
a person that draws, an artist. They have this great art. You see them on the street, and you're like, okay, what are they doing with this? Are they going to just be here until 10, 15 years later doing the same
Hmm.
thing? Now
Hmm.
maybe they enjoy that, but can they live off of that? Because one thing you can assure, if that person is sitting there painting 12 hours a day, they're not going to have any social security at the end of the day, right? Okay,
Correct.
so how do you, and if you have children or anything, how are you going to sustain that? What do you take that to at the end of the day to try to figure out where you can go and how I can live off of this? So you take, people like me, we find them people and we tell them, hey, okay, what are you doing here? What do you want to do? And they say, well, I've always tried to figure out how to make money doing my art. Because this is what I love to do. Okay, let's make this a business. Okay, but we don't want to make this a business where it's a cash trade because you don't have anything to show for your work, right? So you have to take what they do and you form it into an LLC or sole proprietorship or whatever it is they want to do. But you have to take it and level it up so that you can be credit worthy. Okay, if you're not credit worthy now, you're going to be in trouble. Nobody is trying to give you money, and when you explain, you ask somebody for elevator pitch, they have no idea what you're talking about, right?
Hmm.
So if I'm to explain my business to you, then how do I do that? Why would I expect you to give me money if I can't even explain what I do, right?
Correct.
So take that as it is and say that, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this because from beginning to end, you're not a business. You're just a person out here selling a service and you haven't figured out how to monetize that service. And if you can't monetize your service, then you don't have a business. And see, Ty,
Okay.
there's a lot of people that's had restaurants and clubs, and I've been one of them, restaurants and clubs and things like that. And problem with that is they make enough just to pay the bills, if that. You don't have a business. What you did is you bought a job.
You bought a job.
That's what you did. You bought a
Yeah.
job. And when you buy a job, you got to show up every day.
Hmm.
If you're going to create a business, you don't want to have to show up. You want to, whatever you put together, you want to allow that to take care of you. And then when you
So
need
that
to show up, you
that
need to
is
show up.
that is what your company shows entrepreneurs how to do. And what's the name
Yes.
of your company?
I share resources. That's small ISHARE resources. And basically, they can go to our website, ishareresources.com. And basically, it shows them from beginning to end how to take what they're doing as a freelancer or independent, or even if they're new in their business, or if they've been around a long time. It doesn't really matter because you can always scale. You have to scale. I've watched you scale from the beginning to where you are right now, which I'm super proud of you, by the way. Uh,
Thank you.
I I think that taking being able to scale your business is going to be the thing that allows you freedom. That's really it. That's how you create. Ty, if I had to work 12 hours a day, I would not nearly be as complete as I am right now as a business person because I
But
wouldn't have time. I
you
would
work in multiple realms though. You don't just do one business. You have multiple businesses. How do you
yeah.
do that?
First of all, you have to organize your time. That's one. Two is you have to realize that being an entrepreneur. I would always call myself an entrepreneur. That means that you have to put your life in different categories. You know,
Okay.
'Cause usually my businesses don't have anything to do with the other. They're totally different walks. But I got to find a unifying thread that puts all of that together and that makes it work instead of me having all of these companies. Because I do have many people that work with me. So that's a great thing. But the biggest point about that is that when it comes down to how you are presenting yourself on a business level, being an entrepreneur is all about spin. You know that word, Ty.
I do. You taught me that word.
Simple situations, problem, implication, needs, payout. That's very important because once I find out what your situation is and what are the implications of that situation, right? Then you look at it, you're like, okay, what do I need to do about this? And then you figure out how to get to that point. Because everybody's got a problem. They just don't know how to solve
Of course.
it, you know. And if they
Well,
do know how
Reggie,
to solve it, then
I
they
want to
got the secret.
thank you for that information because that was very vital information that I know someone can definitely use. But if you could do me a favor and please let us know where we could find you if someone needed to reach out to you to ask about your services, how could they reach you? And is this like a process where they would have to be approved for your services in order to work with you, or do you take on everybody? How do they know if they're ready for your kind of service?
Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, I mean, you have to qualify in terms of
Okay.
what you're doing, and it has to make some kind of sense to me and to the team. Um, they go to ishareresources.com. That's small I, SHARE resources.com. And there's a document on there that asks them, oh, are they an entrepreneur? Are they a freelancer? Are they a company? Whatever they are, they fill out those document. We'll get right back with them, and then
Okay.
we'll set up a consultation, and then from that point we'll start working on their project and getting them up to where they need to be. So
Okay.
it's not that difficult. You just have to take time to do it.
Okay. Well, Reggie, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And we, of course, will be asking you to come back on because there's a lot more information we need to dig out of you and find out different details to help entrepreneurs scale and grow and create companies that are 10x and they can sell it to a larger entity and walk away and then start something new, because that's what the world is really about. Being able to build, being able to create jobs, being able to continuously grow in every aspect. And your company helps people do that. And I just want to thank you. And we will, of course, ask for you to come back on later on in the future. But again, I want to thank you for being on the show today.
And thank you so much, Ty. And girl, I am so proud of you doing your thing, and I look forward to big things from you.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye
Okay.
bye.